While there have been plenty of exciting and dominant offenses in NFL history, there are only a handful that stand out among the rest. These offenses kept opposing defensive coordinators up at night, trying not even to figure out how to stop them, but just how to slow them down. Here are the 5 greatest offenses in NFL history. 2011 Green Bay Packers. Compared to the other great offenses, the 2011 Packers were about as solid as they come. Just like the rest of the offenses on this list, they were led by an elite quarterback who won the league's MVP award that year. Aaron Rodgers threw for 4,643 yards and 45 touchdowns that season. But probably the most impressive part about his stats was his touchdown-to-interception ratio, as he threw only 6 picks that year. Rodgers taking care of the ball so well helped the offense rack up more points and yards. His passer rating was an astounding 122.5 in 2011, setting an NFL record. While Rodgers did have one particular favorite target in Jordy Nelson that season, the Packers' receiving corps was a balanced attack as they tore apart opposing offenses. Nelson had 1,263 receiving yards and 15 receiving touchdowns, as Green Bay had 4 different guys with at least 600 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns that year. The Packer offense averaged 405.1 yards of total offense and 35 points per game, as the team lost only 1 regular season game that entire year, going 15-1 before being upset in the divisional round of the playoffs by the Giants, who went on to win the Super Bowl. 2018 Kansas City Chiefs. The 2018 Chiefs offense put up 565 points at 35.3 points per game. Only the 2007 Pats and 2013 Broncos scored more points in a season than that Chiefs team. They were led by the next face of the league in Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes followed in the footsteps of Manning as he became the second quarterback in NFL history to throw for 5,000 yards and 50 touchdowns in the same season, while going on to win league MVP. Mahomes led a high-powered attack that averaged 425.6 yards of total offense per game. His life was made easier as he was throwing to guys who are some of the best players at their respective positions in the league, with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Both players nearly had 1,500 receiving yards and at least 10 receiving touchdowns. Hill amassed 1,479 receiving yards and caught 12 touchdowns, while Kelce had 1,336 receiving yards and brought in 10 receiving touchdowns. The offense was also aided by a dual threat out of the backfield in Kareem Hunt. Hunt rushed for 824 yards and 7 touchdowns and added 378 receiving yards and caught 7 touchdowns as well. While the Chiefs' offense thrived that season, the overall team had one of the less stellar years of the teams mentioned on this list, as they went 12-4 in the regular season before falling to the Patriots in the AFC title game. 1999 St. Louis Rams. Better known as the greatest show on turf, the nickname says it all. This Rams offense revolutionized the way NFL viewed offenses in general. They were constantly pushing the pedal to the metal and going downhill, when most offenses during that time were less aggressive. It also helped that the Rams were absolutely loaded with talent on offense that season. Led by former grocery store bagger and future Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, they also had 3 other future Hall of Famers on that side of the ball, in running back Marshall Faulk, wide receiver Isaac Bruce, and left tackle Orlando Pace. It also helped having another wide receiver who was knocking on Canton's door in Torrey Holt. That 99 Rams offense was so prolific that they nearly doubled their total points scored from the season before, as their scoring total went from 285 points all the way up to 526 points that year. In terms of individual achievements and performances, Faulk joined the 1,000,000 club that season as he amassed over 1,000 receiving and rushing yards respectively. Bruce also had over 1,000 receiving yards as Warner threw for 4,353 yards and 41 touchdowns. Warner was named league MVP for his efforts. They averaged just over 400 yards of total offense a game that season at 6.45 yards per play. The greatest show on turf was so unstoppable that they led the Rams to a 13-3 regular season record and their only Super Bowl win in franchise history. 2007 New England Patriots. As a team, the 2007 Patriots made history by becoming the first team in NFL history to go 16-0 in a regular season. The main reason for that was their offense was a complete juggernaut that year. Prior to that 2007 season, the Pats acquired future Hall of Fame receiver Randy Moss. Moss went on to have one of the best, if not the best, receiving seasons of all time, as he caught 98 passes for nearly 1,500 yards and hauled in 23 touchdowns. Those 23 receiving touchdowns are still an NFL record today. It also helped that the guy throwing the ball to Moss was pretty good himself. Tom Brady was the maestro of that dominant offense and experienced his own record-breaking season, as he had 50 passing touchdowns and won the league's MVP award. Averaging 36.8 points per game that year, the Pats set a record for total points scored in a year with 589. On only one occasion during that entire regular season did they not score at least 24 points in a game. They also averaged over 400 yards of total offense per game and 6.22 yards per play. The only thing this offense couldn't do was win a Super Bowl, as their bid for a perfect season was denied by the New York Giants in Super Bowl 42. 2013 Denver Broncos. The 2013 Broncos offense was so special that they somehow managed to break records set by the 07 Patriots. Led by another quarterback who was a lock for the Hall of Fame in Peyton Manning, that offense was simply an unstoppable freight train that year. They scored 606 total points at 37.9 points per game, which is still an NFL record today. The Broncos scored over 50 points on 3 separate occasions during that year. They also averaged 457.3 yards of total offense per contest that season. Manning broke the league record for most passing yards in a single season with 5,477, and set another by throwing for 55 touchdowns, as he was named league MVP. Manning and the Broncos also had some dominant wide receivers that season, as Eric Decker and Demaryius Thomas each broke the 1,200 receiving yard mark. Wes Welker and Julius Thomas also each snagged 10 receiving touchdowns that year. And finally, running back Noshawn Marino forced teams not to ignore their running game, as he racked up over 1,000 rushing yards. Similar to the 07 Pats, this Broncos offense helped the team to a great regular season record at 13-3, but they came up short in the big game as they lost to the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 48.